Okay, so we're back. A couple things. I've actually spent a little time reading the instructions now. For the RT guys with 5.7, we should use the 5/100 bracket. That'll be the taller one. Easy to pick out. One, it's taller. Two, there will be a small indicator hole. If you're running an SRT or 6.1, you will be needing the 4.225 bracket, obviously the shorter one. Again, tall and short. If you have trouble with that, I really don't know what to tell you. One thing I noticed, I kind of wish it would have been billet, or at least painted. I thought about painting it, then I was skimming the instructions. I saw it was stainless. Stainless is generally going to have a luster to it. It won't be bright. Like, this is just your typical zinc plated nut, grade 5 that you'd see in the hardware kit. Obviously, steel nut, it's pretty magnetic. Stainless, different grades are somewhat magnetic. It's always going to be a loose attraction. Problem I have, I'm not quite sure what grade of stainless this is. If you see the magnet in the bracket here, that is a pretty strong bond. It doesn't have the bright luster that you typically see with just a plain carbon steel, but again, I'm not quite sure what grade stainless this is. It does look to be stainless, but personally, that's a little too magnetic for my liking. I'll probably monitor this, see if we get any flash rusting on it. Just for reference, this is a 1/4 stainless steel nylon lock nut and a 1/4 by 1 1/4 stainless steel fender washer. As you can see, neither is magnetic. Just keep these on hand. I always like to check out what people are saying, see if it's true. Okay, the main thing I wanted to show you here in the second part is just the actual filter medium itself. Again, the case threads off. It's pretty clean. It's going to be hard for the naked eye to tell it's a one piece for those uninclined. As you can see, it's got your perforated screen, and then you see the filter medium. Not quite sure how well the camera will pick that up, but it's packed in there tight. It looks like it's going to do a pretty good job. Obviously, what we want to do, is just separate the oil from the air. Get the air back into the manifold and get the oil out. Obviously not going to get deposited anywhere. The theory is just expanding it earlier, justification for the factory not doing it. Of course, if you're on the factory thermostat, it should bake out. The problem is I don't really want to be the guy to test it and tell you in 80,000 miles what the valves look like compared to, what they look like with a catch can. If you check online, some of the forums, Lone Star Mopars, etc., you're going to see guys running the cans, and basically after 1,500, 3,000 miles, they'll have 4 or 5 tablespoons full of stuff that, quite frankly, you don't have to worry about it getting back into your intake because it was caught. So whether or not it would bake out is kind of a moot point. This is just kind of a security feature. And again, like I said, I kind of wish I had a blue anodized can, but really this polished one, the more I mess around with it, it's starting to look a little better. I don't really think it'll bother me too bad. And just tighten it up there. Again, it's not an obvious gap. It's not going to be an eyesore. This is brass and it is aluminum. The instructions don't actually mention anything. I'd recommend running probably a tape. Just kind of keep it a thread and a half or 2 up. And again, these are going to route into your can. This is what this is going to look like assembled. Just so everyone knows, it's obviously going to thread in. That'll be your downside. But typical rule of thumb with a ball valve, when your guide, which I'm used to copper, and brass fittings, but anyway, this is the same thing. As you can see, it's in line with the actual valve body, which is going to mean that it's open. So obviously, when you install it, you want to make sure that this is 90 degrees to the fitting. That's going to mean that the ball is closed. You're not going to be draining oil. And again, it's real simple. Whenever you're draining it, you're just going to flip it down. If it's parallel with the body, that means it's going to drain. And again, 90 degrees perpendicular would basically mean we have things shut off, stop the flow of oil. Again, just keep your orange cap on when you're not using it. That way, if for some reason you take it in, somebody does something, it's not going to be a complete mess. And looking again at the bracket, I went ahead, your 1/4 by 5/8, they're going to thread in. They'll actually go with the mount, which for the RT, which is what I would be running in the M10, it'll be the long mount. And then your black bolt is actually just going to be what cinches everything down, keeps the can in place. Okay, so we're back. Basically going to wrap up. Probably bored with this already. Essentially, this was a Moroso part number 85472, your air oil separator, your catch can. Again, the advantages here, primarily, you've got your drain valve. With the drain valve, you don't have the risk of spilling anything like you do with a knurled bottom end that you've got to pull off and then somehow snake. And it's just one of those things, you think you can do it and then you tip it just a little, and as I mentioned, a little oil goes a long way. In theory, this kit, basically everything you need. Again, a guy might want to step up, you know, you might want some different fittings, which again you can do with an adapter. You'll probably sink $20-30 just for a couple of fittings, but again, if that's, you know, you're one of the people that's got to have the details, that's the route to go. The hose they include is 1/2-inch heater hose. Again, a lot of guys are going to want to step up to braided, but you know, you get it from Moroso, it's all here, it's going to do what you want it to. One other thing I can add, for your fitting assembly, you know, you just want to get it tight. The brass elbows that are going to thread into the top of the can, you can get by with a 5/8 wrench. It's kind of nice working on these 5.7 and 6.1s to actually do something SAE again, not be metric. It might not bother some of you, but 95% of what I own is not metric, so it's nice to get back to something I'm familiar with. For the bottom drain elbow, you're going to need 11/16, fits around there. Again, I would probably run a paste or a Teflon tape, just because you're working with brass. It's kind of good practice. Again, number one thing I can stress, installed, have the valve 90 degrees so you don't drain out. When you do drain it, it's your oil change, your intervals in between parallel. Once you've got everything drained out, you know, obviously no spills, just flip it back. Always put the orange cap on just as a precaution. If you remember to do that, chances are you'll remember to get the valve up. You won't have any trouble. Again, it's a pretty thorough kit. You get everything you need. The few changes you might make are pretty minute. They will cost a little extra, but again, you know, if you're one of the guys that has to have the details, it's not that bad. And right here, according to Moroso, just so everyone will know, draining of air oil separator is needed. This will depend on driving conditions, i.e. normal day-to-day driving. They're recommending we check it every 1,000 miles until a baseline is established. They're suggesting that you drain the air oil separator when it is about half full, and they're saying that this is going to vary with temperature, cold in the winter, hot in the summer. And for track usage, you'll want to drain it after every outing. So again, this basically wraps up the unboxing, just a quick overview of it. For the money, it's really not a bad investment, you know, whether it would bake off or not. It's going to look nice, it's easy to install. For the guys wanting to keep their Challenger stock, you know, or their Charger 300C, whatever you're installing this in, you really don't run a risk with this. Number one, you can have it off, back to factory OE look in probably 10 minutes. And what you're doing in the long run is just basically insurance, you know, safety. Can't really go wrong there, just like splash guards. You're not going to hurt anything, you're probably helping it. And again, it's, like I said, that polish is kind of growing on me. So again, it's the Moroso 85472. We will get the install done, try to make a quick video on that or cover it in the article. And for more information, just check out Lone Star Mopars. Thank you.